Hi, welcome back to Pleased to Dwell, chapter 14, and we come into Luke's account of what actually happened after his introductory few verses. Chapter 14, if I could just say three things. This is the part of the story where Zechariah, the father of John the Baptist, is in the temple and he sees the angel who gives him a message. And as the book begins, it begins with this paragraph. When the elderly priest stumbled out of the temple that afternoon, he was bursting to say three things, but he could not say a word. This was not a dramatic individual feigning speechlessness. This was angelic discipline for disbelief. Nevertheless, even though his vocal cords had been unplugged, his heart was electrified. It's easy to skip past this part of the Christmas story. You know, we want to get to Mary, we want to get to Jesus, but actually Zechariah is a real gift to us in chapter 1 of Luke. And let me show you the three things in a nutshell. Obviously the book gives a little bit more detail, but just verses 13 to 17, actually cutting out a couple in the middle as well. But the angel said to him, "Do not be afraid, Zechariah, for your prayer has been heard, and your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you shall call his name John." Okay, so let's stop there to begin with. The first of the three things that Zechariah wanted to tell the world but couldn't say a word, the first one was, I'm going to be a dad. He's going to have a son. His prayer has been heard. I speculate in the book about how maybe it's possible, it's not likely, but it's possible that as a young priest, Zechariah had this duty once before, maybe, and maybe even approaching the altar of incense, he'd offered up a prayer to God for his new wife, Elizabeth, and their future children. Who knows whether maybe that had been part of his earlier prayer life in the temple. Certainly it would have been part of his prayer life at home each night, month by month, as the years had passed, the agony of childlessness. But his prayer has been heard. Zechariah, you're going to be a dad. Okay, so that's the first thing he wanted to tell the world. Secondly, he wanted to tell the world that his son John would be special. And verses 14 and 15 give a little bit of detail for that, and even into 16. But then the third thing that he wanted to say, this is where it really ramps up to a whole new level. Starting at verse 16, and he, that is John, will turn many of the children of Israel to the Lord their God. And he will go before him in the spirit and power of Elijah to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children and the disobedient to the wisdom of the just, to make ready for the Lord a people prepared. Now we get a little bit lost in the he's and hims here, so let's just trace this through. He, that is John, all right, so we've got John here. He will turn many of the children of Israel to the Lord, their God. And he will go before him. So this he here is John again. He, John, will go before him. Let's just use that symbol since I've used it here. That's the Lord. All right. He, John, will go before the Lord in the spirit and power of Elijah to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, the disobedient to the wisdom of the just, to make ready for the Lord a people prepared. Isn't that beautiful? The third thing that Zechariah wanted to tell the world, I'm going to be a dad. My son is going to be really special. But number three just blows it all away. God is coming. The Lord is coming, and my son is going to prepare the way for him. We can miss that. We can read over that and be looking for Mary and Gabriel and all that's to come. But even if we read it, we can miss the significance of it. Imagine that. God himself, the Lord their God, is coming. And that's the point of Christmas, isn't it? That God is stepping in to our world. So maybe as we read the words of the angel to Zechariah, maybe our hearts can be electrified too. At anticipation of another Christmas, anticipation of celebrating the wonder of a God who comes into our world, a God who steps in. Thanks for watching, and see you next time for the next part of Luke chapter 1.